All right, welcome back to the Savage Bowling TV broadcast of the 2018 Indiana Scratch Classic. I want to thank our sponsors, Motive Bowling, Get Motivated, Pinheads, Big Four Socks, Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl, and obviously the Indiana State USBC. We're at Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl here in Lafayette, Indiana, beautiful facility, and just happen to be seated with a guy by the name of Mike Alby. And I'm sure there's a few out there that know who you are. Just a few, right?
Hopefully a few left.
Oh no, you're probably you're a name that's gonna be. It's like Mickey Mouse. These kids, we all know who Mickey Mouse is, no matter how old you are, right? Right?
I don't know about that. But yeah.
I didn't mean that.
Mickey's got a few more years than I do.
Yeah, just turned 90. Can you believe that? All right, on 3 and 4, we have Brandon Stogsdill, Ryan Burks, and Brandon Flora. The other TV pair, we have Gene Perez, Nick Squires, and I'm not sure who else we have up there. I think maybe, no, Jeff Grego's on 9 and 10. But Jimmy Cook, I believe, is on 7 and 8, if I remember correctly. Matt Sanders on 9 and 10. He's still left. So here's who we got left. Brandon Flora, Brandon Stogsdill, Gene Perez, Matt Sanders, Jeff Grego, Jimmy Cook, Zach Weidman, Nick Squires, and Ryan Burks, the final guy in. Minus 14 to make the semifinal round, Mike, and scores really came down compared to the first round of qualifying.
Yeah, we didn't see the jump on the second game like we did the first time. But, you know, Brandon Flora, I mean, 508 for 2. He's got it figured out, at least on the pairs he was bowling on before. And he looks pretty good out here now.
And Chad's getting our camera straightened up there for 7 and 8. And, boy, Brandon Flora has done a remarkable job of bowling so far. He's been near the top in almost every round. And two-hander from Kentucky. He was one of the squad leaders, I believe, in the B squad, led that. And we're going to also show you, we turned the camera a little bit so we could show you 9 and 10 as well. And a lot of great players left here at the Scratch Classic for this year.
Yeah, this will be the tough one to make it out of this one because these guys are all pretty well have it figured out by now.
Yeah, we always said the cream rises to the top, and you know, you thought you could get by in first round. I thought I could, and came up 4 pins short. But you get down into this, then you're going to have to really. You can't have the bad game.
No.
We're going to go from 9 to 4, so 5 guys are going to get eliminated, and 4 will go on to bowl for the title. 2-game eliminator format. And the nice thing, too, about this, you know, you're bowling against the entire field. You're not necessarily bowling. I mean, I guess in your mind, Mike, did you prefer the head-to-head 1-game match, or what do you think about the eliminator style format as well?
Yeah, it's a totally different mindset because, you know, the eliminator format, I mean, you're just trying to do it. It's hard mentally sometimes to get caught up in that. I'm just trying to beat the mark, the low mark, you know, because you're wasting some pins if you're just throwing away the top. So it's you know a little bit what's going on when it's going head to head. You know what you're up against. So it's a little bit different mindset to get caught into. You know, I won Masters. I won them both, but I always like the head to head just because you knew what you were up against. But you know, going in, you know what the format is, and you prepare accordingly.
Well, yeah, this is more, to me, it's like posting a score.
Mm-hmm.
You're not posting a score when you're bowling against an individual. You know, obviously you always hear players, you know, they're looking down or looking away, but you know, one shot here and there can really turn a game around. And typically you might have a little bit more relaxing feeling. I prefer the head-to-head myself. I was more relaxed in head-to-head. I never liked qualifying.
Well, there's a lot of unknown in this format. I mean, a lot of unknown. You just don't, and you can't keep track of, you know, now there's only 9 guys, so, you know, It's a little easier to keep track. But when you're talking a bigger amount of players out there, I mean, it's so difficult. So it's truly important that you just take it, you and the pins, and that's it. You know, get all you can get, and that's the way you play it.
Well, and, you know, when you look at, like, current PBA formats compared to what you traditionally bowled on as, like a 24-game qualifying format. Now these guys, they bowl 7 games.
Yeah.
And mentally, that's got to be so much. I mean, you just can't afford to have the bad game.
No lulls, no peaks and valleys. You've got to be on top of it all the time, because if you're not, there are plenty of guys that are.
Right. What do you think you would have gone through in if you bowled a tournament that only had 7 games of qualifying? 24 games, you can recover from a game here and there, correct?
Yeah, you could, but you like to feel that the longer formats brought the cream to the top, as you said. You get somebody that might be lined up early and then lose it later if there's only a smaller format. So I think, you look at it as maybe not enough sample size in a smaller format. But saying that, I mean, everybody's playing under the same rules, so it's not like it's unfair. It's a different way to do it.
Right. All right, live look here on lane 3, Brandon Flora with the front 3. And this is what this kid has done all day long, has been striking.
He's hitting this pair like nobody has yet.
Oh, wow.
Great speed.
And he didn't like that.
No, he did not. He still doesn't like it, but he's going to run with that one.
Well, I'm just letting you know, guys are in trouble if he lets go of one and doesn't like it, and it's 10 back.
Yeah, that one, when I didn't like one like that, I was hoping it was going to catch the head pin, let alone hit flush.
I'm thinking get more than 6.
But no, he's certainly dialed in. I mean, he looks good and great ball speed, and best of all, he's got striking power.
Well, Ryan Burks here on lane 4. He's the one that just snuck in by 1 pin over Chris Seyfarth to make the cut. He's got 3 spares working here, and now he's left the 3, 6, 10.
It just looks like speed's very critical for him. I mean, he's trying to stroke it, and the ball looks good, but boy, the lane will take it where it wants to go at some point.
Hard and straight, and makes the spare. So he's got 4 frames all clean here. No strikes yet. Taking a look here across the other lanes, and Gene Perez here on lane number 8 comes in light and destroys the rack.
Powerful ball he has.
Gene's got a lot of hand, and I don't know how familiar you are with some of the new players, Mike, but have you heard the name Jesper Svensson?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Jesper is one of those players that if he can throw urethane the whole tournament, he's going to be near the top. Gene is if he can stay with urethane, Gene is going to be near the top.
Yeah, he's got a devastating strike ball, I mean, from all angles.
But you put a reactive resin ball in Jesper's hand, and he's not exactly sure what it's going to do.
It takes him out of that comfort zone where he likes to go direct and keep it on line, and it takes him out of that.
Yeah,
and that's knowing what your comfort zone is. I mean,
right.
Finding that if that ball doesn't work, then you find something that'll let you stay in that comfort zone.
Absolutely. Nick Squires with the strike there on lane 8. He's got a clean game going, looking for that first double. Actually, I take that back. He's got an open in the 3rd. He's looking to get his first double here, maybe in the 6th. Gene Perez goes strike, spare, split, open, strike in the 4th. Now looking to double in the 7th. He'll take a re-rack.
Yeah, it's a big shot because you can't wait too long in this. I mean, we're already a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, the one thing I do find though in this type of format, the proverbial big game can carry you for 2. You can shoot a 250 game, and you know what? You can end up having enough, even if you shoot 180.
Yeah, 180, yeah.
And sometimes I like that in a way, and I don't. But obviously, sometimes it's not that easy to shoot a 250 game.
Yeah, especially after. Yeah, that's right. It's one thing to do 180, 250,
right.
Then that's a different story.
Right. Well, and Brandon here on lanes 3 and 4, Jimmy just throwing a washout.
Blow out 7-10 the last time on that lane, so I'm not sure if he made a move or if the ball just squirted on him a little bit there. But he's been around the pocket all day. He had some unbelievable bad breaks so far when we were watching him earlier.
Nick coming up high, and he'll try to make the 3-pin spare. And then there's Brandon. He's doing something on 3 and 4 that, like you said earlier, Mike, that no one else has been able to do.
Nobody.
And Brandon has bowled well. Brandon has been in the top 2 or 3 scorers in every round. And he had a shot here where it just got to the spot where his ball would normally go left, labored a little bit, and he left the 2-pin. Fortunate just to leave the 2-pin and not a combination with the 7-pin or even the 2-8-10. I mean, so again, Brandon's got a look that nobody else really has
and
right
that
now.
happens. I mean, you see it over and over again and that's what it takes when you're the leader. That person usually has a good look, something that's given him a little bit extra somebody else doesn't have.
Right.
And that's what you're always trying to find.
Yeah. Oh, boy, it looked
Once
like
again, that speed, just a soft look, and boy, it hits that back end and just jumps.
looked like the 10-pin was going to fall
Yeah.
there for Ryan, and it sat there, and he's going to try to keep a clean game going. And I always felt like, too, I like you're saying, is you can't win it on that first game, but you sure can lose it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I got to keep it close to 200 as much as possible and to give me a chance going in.
Yeah, because, on the reaction like they've got out here and
he misses it.
spare, yeah. I mean, you don't want to put any extra added pressure on yourself.
Right.
It's like missing spares or bad breaks, whatever it is. I mean, you start putting yourself in some pressure situations here, and all of a sudden you're not making as clean as shots, and man, it shows up on the other end.
Well, and you always, I love seeing statistics, when the PBA provides statistics for players when they're on TV, and you look back and their spare conversion rate was in the 90s. And I always love looking at Walter Ray's because Walter might leave, back in the day when you had the longer formats, he would leave, 30 10-pins in a game, and then he would never miss one. And then they said, oh, by the way, on the season, he's 498 out of 499, and it's just incredible, the accuracy.
It adds up. I mean, when you miss those spares.
I'm telling you guys.
He's had 7 strikes, and I think each one has been a little different.
Yeah,
and that tells you that, he's throwing it good, his speed is good. All those things tell you that. When you see that many different angles to strike in, he's got it figured out.
Well, and like I had mentioned earlier, he being two-handed and having a much higher rev rate than most, he's playing an area.
Yeah.
And you look down on down the lane, you see the chasers at 10 or so. Is that 10 or 50? Isn't that 10? The chasers at 10?
They're pulling. You mean the arrows? You mean?
Or the tracers down on
down.
Aren't they? I think the out ones are somewhere around 10 or so.
Yeah, right, 10-4.
But
yeah.
a lot of guys
15,
when they're playing on a tighter pattern, they're looking at where their ball is doing at that tracer down lane. Well, he's not looking at that. And there's several boards on both sides that he's looking at. And here we go.
Another good one.
Oh, and he leaves a ripped 7.
And that was one of the cleanest shots he's thrown. That was excellent.
I'm telling you,
He threw everything at that one.
See, right there.
Yeah.
Brandon would.
It's not the same look.
Yep. It's just 2 or 3 boards tighter for him down lane than it was on some of the other pairs. And that would have been light mixer is now a 210.
Yeah. Great job.
Not a lot of, Brandon's really the only one that I see throwing a lot of strikes right now.
That comfortable. I mean, he looks comfortable doing it. Yeah. Oh, good try.
He's got the game going right now where you just coast. You try to finish and
that's a dangerous spot to be in. It's really hard because when you get that much out in front, it's so easy to quit dotting the I's and crossing the T's, doing the things you need to do to strike. I mean, you may still hit the pocket, but you got to keep that intensity up because it's hard to duplicate.
Well, I had a conversation with Zach Weidman yesterday, or actually this morning, and Zach was cruising right along after 3 games. And he got to his 4th game in qualifying and started out struggling a little bit, and he recovered, he said. And he said, then I looked at my score, and I thought, all I need is a 170.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, the arm swing became a little tighter, and he goes, I shoot 156, and I miss. And then he had to bowl this morning in qualifying, and now Zach is on 9 and 10 here in the final 9. And you're right, though. You put a number in your mind, and it's awful hard to get there.
It's like, I need 9. It's 8. I need 8. It's 7. Yeah,
right.
I mean, it never fails.
and it's a dangerous thing to put yourself in. And I think Jason Belmonte had a perfect analogy to that. He doesn't look at what he can get. He looks, I just look at, the cliche one frame at a time, but that's exactly how it should be.
It's simple, but that's it.
But we have a tendency sometimes to put the cart before the horse.
Most definitely.
And you look at what you have left, and that's a dangerous game to play.
It is. It really is.
Matt Sanders now with a solid 7 in the 6th. He had a double working. Now Brandon Flora now leaves a 4-pin. And I think you're going to see a couple of guys do well, and then it's going to be up for grabs for that 3rd and 4th spot. Jimmy finally getting a mark in the 9th. He's struggling this game on a 160 pace. I'm seeing a lot of 160, 170 potential games out there right now. You get to this end of the house, Mike, it gets tighter.
Sure.
And it's not so much in the fronts, it's down lane.
And Brandon's the only one that doesn't seem to be affecting him at all.
Yeah.
Unless it's in a good way, because he's throwing it good.
Now Gene Perez working on an open. He throws a strike on lane 7. He's got a 2-0 pace working. Or he's on a 180 pace, 2-0-2 if he strikes out. And Matt Sanders is on a 2-teen pace. And other than that, Mike, I just don't see much.
Yeah.
A lot of 160, 180, paces.
Yep.
And Brandon Stockstill with a big strike there in the first ball in the 10th.
You got a couple guys, he's one of them, that have strikes in the 9th that can kind of make this jump up a little bit here if they take it out in the 10th.
And Jimmy strikes first ball in the 10th there. Yeah, it's just one of those where it's going to come down, and it always does, to 1 or 2 shots in a game.
So your Nick Squires can take it out for 200 or close to it. What's he at? 190s, but he washes out. So
you just got a little firm.
Yep.
Zach Weidman with the strike in the 9th. He can shoot 209 if he strikes out.
Yeah, see, those are big finishes. I mean, it can make the number go quick, but if you don't perform in the 10th, you can bury yourself. Great shot.
Boy, good shot there from Brandon. Now, if he gets 9 or better, he shoots even par. That would be 200. Brandon,
250, that's in another zip code.
Yeah.
That's not even close to anybody out here.
If you're Brandon Flora, you're looking around.
It's like, can we start the championship match now?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're thinking, all right, you don't want to think.
No, you don't. It's hard not to let it get in the back of your mind.
He could shoot 170 and comfortably get in right now from what unless guys go from shooting 170 or 80 to 220 or 230, which
I just don't see it.
I don't either. I don't think 3.
There's some great shots there in the 10th, 9th and 10th, 201. That's a big finish.
Yeah, that is.
Big finish.
And when you watch a pro bowl, and especially when I've had the opportunity to bowl a couple of U.S. Opens and I bowled a couple of national masters events, and you watch the guys that always seem to be bowling well, they always find a way to strike the first 2 balls in the 10th. They turn a 190 game into 210, and they
big, yeah.
And that's where the difference is for a lot of players.
Especially those ones where you're shooting 170, but you take it out for 190.
Yes.
Those are gigantic.
And that's the difference. What I think between a top player and a guy a good amateur player that works for a living and then bowls on the weekends. And
you've got to get in that mental frame of mind to be able to do that, and you just can't turn things on and off. It's like Brandon. You're shooting 250. Well, it's easy not to bear down the next game, but you got to keep going at it the same way you were. Because if you don't, it's like practice. If you don't practice it, it's tough to put it into play when you need it.
What's amazing is these young kids. There's a nice strike there from Gene Perez, who can shoot 202 with a strike in the fill. What's amazing to me is these young kids and Brandon, who's probably in his young 20s, they're just nothing seems to bother them. It's just they're not nervous.
Yep.
They just go out there and throw the ball. And I don't know. I just have.
No, you're exactly right.
Immense amount of I'm in awe at that. For me, I know personally, I've always been one to get the adrenaline gets going a little bit too much, and because the mind can play tricks on you a lot of times, and it's amazing how your mind can tell you to do something. And,
Yeah, it is.
you know what you want to do.
Once it
and
starts creeping in, it's too late in your mind. You're done.
yeah, it's amazing how that can happen. And I've always been one to I get a little nervous, but that's the beauty about it. If you're not nervous having the front 10, something's wrong.
You need that little bit of an edge to keep you on edge, because if it becomes too, like if you watch Brandon, he shoots, changes balls, and the ball goes high and shoots 255. It's too easy to get complacent, because then you don't do the little things that help you carry those 10 pins or those 7 pins. You don't finish it off with your follow through, all the little things that help you strike.
Hey, Brandon, floor. We'll try to get a word here with Mr. Flora. All right, Brandon Flora here joining us, and Brandon, Mike and I have been in amazement here. You shoot 255 game one on a pair that's really given a lot of players a lot of struggles. What are you seeing, and what adjustments are you making as you go from pair to pair?
On this pair, different than 7 and 8. 7 and 8, I had Jimmy on my pair. We kind of got the gutter to break down so you could throw it out there and kind of shape it off the gutter. Well, when we go to like 11, 12, or this end, the gutter gets tighter. So I went to the bigger ball, which is the original hammer web. It's earlier for me, but it kind of hooks in oil more than, say, your web tours. But people are trying to throw the shiny stuff, and you got the over-under action. I just don't think shiny is the way to go. My game plan is stay with surface as long as I can and keep the angles tighter instead of trying to open the lane up, just to kind of eliminate your over-under reaction.
So mentally, for you, are you just like, I'm just going to keep mash the pedal and just keep the foot to the floor and not let up here and just keep doing what you're doing? Is that the game plan? Because I know sometimes when you shoot a big number like that, you have a tendency to relax a little bit. Are you like, nope, I'm not going to let that happen?
I'm not going to really try to relax. I'm going to try to throw my web as long as I can, but not be afraid to go to something a little shinier, see what it does. I gave myself a little bit of cushion where I can test out that shiny ball, see what it does. And
right.
If it doesn't work, then it doesn't hurt me necessarily as bad.
Right, absolutely.
But I'm definitely going to stay with my webs as long as I can.
All right, well, best of luck. I know you've had great look all day today, been near the top every game, and now you're one game away from maybe going for the title. Good luck, Brandon.
Thank you, sir.
Great
all
shots.
Right.
Great shots.
Brandon Flora here from Kentucky, 255 his first game, and always like to get some insight there from the players, and interesting to see the guy with the most rev rate, 2 hands obviously, with the most rev rate, is throwing the most aggressive stuff that he's brought with him.
Yeah, and he's got a good plan. I mean, he's trying to bear down and get all he can get, but yet be able to have room to try to figure some things out in case he needs to go to that. So he's obviously in the best position so far.
You wonder, you always kind of question the mindset of a player, keep the foot to keep the metal to the pedal, and he obviously knows the situation he's in. I found it interesting. He thought, well, if I need to try something different, I have the luxury of doing that. So they're all watching, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you shoot 255, you know you're going to be near the top of the scores after one game. So, it
was interesting to hear him say that him and Jimmy kind of had a little plan there early on, and you wonder at what point do those plans become individual plans. I assume it's once we cut down to 4 here, but you never know.
Right. And now Brandon is going to go, looks like one pair to the right. So he'll be on 7 and 8. Now on our other TV pair, we have Zach Weidman and Matt Sanders and Jeff Grego, 3 talented players here on 3 and 4. As soon as we'll give you the scoring updates as soon as we know, but obviously we saw what both Brandons did. Brandon Stockstill finishing strong with 201. Really turned a 170, 180 game into 200.
Yeah.
That you got to feel good about that. But not many 200 games from what I've seen here so far. So here's Jeff Grego on lane number 3 from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Real talented player. Comes in high. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys see, especially Zach and Jeff on the right side after. Because, the higher rev rate players, and I'm sure as you knew when you bowled, certain guys chewed the lane up a little bit more than others. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of reaction they have here on 3 and 4. Jeff making the spare on the 6-pin. First game in the books for the semifinal round. The top 4 players from the 9 that are bowling right now will head to 5 and 6 and bowl for the title. We'll take a break after this round is done and get things set up. Just a matter of time before we find out who those 4 players will be. Matt Sanders won this event in 2016, looking to be the first repeat winner of any state title ran or state tournament as far as the Scratch Classic and Indiana State Masters is concerned. No one's won a title more than one time, so he could be the first repeat winner of a specific event. TJ Schmidt won the Scratch Classic in 2017 and won the Indiana State Masters in the same calendar year.
Wow.
He's the only player to do that. I've had a chance to, I finished second in this Indiana State Masters 4 times.
Oh my!
So knocked on the doorstep, couldn't go through the door, but that was probably
hard. It's obviously very hard to get there, let alone win it.
Yeah, it was really tough not to win at least one. I felt like the Buffalo Bills in the NFL. And now we're going to take a live look in on 7 and 8. Brandon Flora here on the left lane.
He left a 2-7 the first shot, didn't quite make it up, so it'll be interesting to see if he makes an adjustment here. Oh, great shot.
Well, that one came up.
Yeah, that one made it.
Here's our scores. Brandon Flora leading the way with 255. Matt Sanders with 213. Gene Perez 202, and Brandon Stogsdill at 201. That's your cut
The big
plus
finish.
1.
Yeah, the big finish got him up there.
But, you know, as we say, you know, second through literally 7th is all right there. I mean, less than 40 pins separating, you know, 6 guys. So, but if you're Jeff Grego here, who's on lanes 3 and 4, getting ready to bowl on lane 3 with back-to-back spares, he's got to start striking. Oh, a solid 9-pin from Zach Weidman on lane 4.
Ball just drove right through him.
That's always a tough leave. I mean, I don't know if what frustrates me. Obviously, it's the pocket 710 frustrates you more than the solid 8 or 9 pin, but
yeah, they're all rally killers anyway. Look at it.
Man, they are. All right, 3 spares in a row for Zach, and now Jeff Grego with the washout. And this is what we saw with some of the guys that just would get to the spot and just go right. And Jeff misses the spare there and leaves
Jimmy Cook with, sorry to interrupt, Jimmy Cook with first 4 over there.
Ooh. And Jimmy shot 170, so a lot can change.
Yeah, and they, front 4 were good. I mean, they're all flush, so.
And, you know, Jimmy's probably got a number in his mind. He's like, I need 240 here. 240 or better. And that's probably what he's thinking about right now.
And he's one, if he gets there, I'd be worried about him. He usually figures it out.
A lot of people in the bowling community know who Jimmy Cook is.
Wow, great shot.
Nice shot from Matt Sanders there. Matt's got a spare and double. Gene Perez with the front 4.
Yeah. He throws them pins around, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I tell you, there is a distinct advantage to having a lot of rev rate. Brandon Flora with 10 back. Looks like maybe we had a couple of guys bowling the wrong lane.
Yeah, because that 2-7's not up there, is it?
No, now it's a strike. So it looks like maybe Brandon bowled on the wrong lane to start the match. What a break for Flora.
I was going to say that's a good. Yeah, that's a good break.
Maybe not so much for Stogsdill, who opened in the first.
Yeah.
Oh, washout Greek Church for Jeff Grego. Oh, that'll drive you crazy, won't it?
That will definitely do it.
Because at some point in time, you ask yourself, okay, lanes, what do you want? Do you want this or that? You know, and when neither work, then you're.
Well, no, that put you in the point. Those was it me? Was it the lane? Which was it? You know, did I overreact or did the ball just overreact?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, those are tough situations.
And Jimmy now front 5. Gene Perez looking to match him, and he does.
Well, if there's any round you'd expect some scores, it'd be this round, since you got the 9 that have got it figured out.
Matt Sanders with now a 3-bagger. So a couple of guys are starting to rise. Now Jimmy Cook threatening here because he's coming in 8th right now. And I'm sure if you're Brandon Stocksdale, hopefully you didn't look at the score sheet.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to know who I was bowling against,
no,
right?
Exactly, yep.
And sometimes when the eyes start to wander, you start looking at other pairs, and then you become defensive.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard enough to do your own game, play your own game than everybody else's too.
Right. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Jeff Greco's got to be going nuts. He goes wash out. Now he leaves the 3-7. Greek Church the frame before. And Jimmy now front 6. Here's Matt Sanders on 4. 3-bagger working.
Beauty.
This is almost one where you just try to keep up, right?
Yeah.
Not sure why my phone was going off there. Got a mind of its own.
Oh, Gene Perez with a solid 7 off front 5. Great shot.
I tell you, technology. Well, right now Gene is pretty much on a 240 pace.
Yeah.
And that's going to be plenty good if he can just... Sometimes, though, you just think to yourself, all right, just stay clean. That's easier said than done.
Yeah, sometimes it is, that's for sure.
All right, Zach Weidman now going for the 2-7. And he leaves the 7. And now he's in trouble a little bit. He was knocking on the door of the top 4. But right now, these guys are all bowling against Jimmy.
Yep.
Gene is... kind of put himself in a great position. Brandon is gone.
Yep.
So really, Matt Sanders is off to a great start. Well, I tell you, the final round could be absolutely amazing.
Brandon Flora with the front 4 now.
3 and 4 is playing real tricky.
Another flush one for Jimmy Cook.
Well, I bet you the arm swing's getting a little looser now, isn't it?
Yeah, he's played himself well, and they're pretty good right now. Oh. Matt Sanders with a lighter 7.
Well, it's going to come down to essentially Stocksdale is going to have to start striking here on 7 and 8. He was in 4th. But he has got to be looking at what Jimmy Cook is doing, and he might already be in trouble. See, Brandon can...
Yeah, he's about 30 behind him, I think, now, or around that. At least.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy's, 250s right now, if he stays clean.
Yeah, and Gene Perez has put himself in a position to shoot at least 230. So... really, to be honest with you, that's if you're Brandon Stocksdale, that's who you're looking at right now. But
yeah, he needs to start striking.
You know, and Ryan Burke's now with 9 spare 3-baggers, so a lot can happen here in the last 3 or 4 frames.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh, boy, when you break the string, you don't want that, do you? 210 split for Jimmy Cook. Now Matt Sanders here on lane 4. Week 7. Randy Peterson always called them quitter 10s, quitter 7s, where the 4 or the 6 pin just doesn't do much but just lay in the channel. We're pretty much down to about 3 players here for the last few spots. Jimmy just takes the 2 back and opens in the 8th with 206. You know, now that makes things a little more interesting for him because he's minus 30 going into this game. He's got to be thinking 240 or better, and that's no given right now. Even though and you think that you got front 7.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I think Jimmy Cook's probably about 20 pins ahead of Ryan Burks. And you got Brandon Stogsdale, who's still, he's probably about 30 behind. So a lot of frames left, though. Half the game's left.
Flat 7 for Gene. If he makes that, he's still on a 230 pace. That would put him close to 40 over. Big shot here for Ryan Burks.
Oh, beauty. Yeah. Great shot.
Don't count this kid out.
No.
He shot 270 his last game in qualifying to put himself in the cut line comfortably, and so Ryan's capable of shooting a big number.
We watched him on 3 and 4, and he was almost trying to finesse it and just kind of roll it and be smooth. He's amped up a little bit, a little more speed now over on lane 7 and 8, and looks much better.
Sometimes when you get a reaction that gives you just a board or two more than the previous pair, you loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, that's all it
right?
takes, yep. Because these guys are going to have to hit what they're looking at. So, like I said, a board or two is a lot.
Well, Brandon Flora was able to do something on 3 and 4 that no other right-hander has been able to do.
And he's on the front 5 right now, and he's still doing it.
Now, big shot here for Brandon Stogsdill on lane 7. And he's got a strike working in the 5th. He needs a double right now. He's got 2 guys chasing him.
Threw it well. Yeah, great shot.
Boy, that's so much fun when you can do that.
Yeah. And Jimmy Cook struck in the 9th, so he's set himself up for 266 left.
Must be a pretty good pair because Squires can strike out for 220. Jimmy can shoot 240. And Jimmy's going to need that mark. Even at 240, he's 16. Jimmy's probably thinking, I need the first one in the 10th.
Well, great shot right there. Ryan Burks.
And there's Gene Perez. Comes in light and strikes. Here's a big shot for Jimmy Cook here, Mike, because if he spares strikes, he's only going to be plus 16. That means Brandon Stogsdill would only need to shoot 215, and he's got that left.
Well, and Ryan Burks would put Ryan's ahead of him.
Right.
At the current point.
So this is a big shot for Jimmy Cook. God. Man, that's almost that's
It's like duck pins.
Yeah, it's unfair. I've never seen pins fly around so much. They don't do it when my ball hits the head pin like that. Here it is.
Oh, beauty.
Boy, that is clutch.
That was very big.
Curious to find out what happened there in the 8th frame. I don't know if he got a little quick with it, missed a little right. But that's been the only hiccup in this game so far. That puts him at 250, so that's going to make Brandon Stogsdill shoot at least in the mid to upper 220s this game. And then he's got to be worried about, that's going to be trouble.
Yep.
Then he's got to be worried about Ryan Burks. Well, and Zach Weidman can strike out for 223. That would put him at plus 18. So Jimmy needs, and he's going to go around Zach Weidman, even with a good count here. Oh, there's 260s. That puts him in the 430s. Good shot there.
Yeah, it was very good.
What a game, though. And that's going to eliminate Brandon
great,
Stogsdill.
Yeah, great touch, though, on Jimmy Cook. Just getting that 10 to tilt out.
Good finish there from Zach Weidman, but unfortunately he has no idea he's going to come up a few pins short. Jimmy's going to go around him by 15. Now Ryan Burks controls his own destiny.
He does, yeah, he does. Spare 5-bagger.
Oh, 266 finish.
Great game.
That puts Jimmy at 436. Comes in light, leaves the 2-8. So Ryan Burks would need 250 6. Now he's got to sheet it.
Yep.
He's got to run the table on the 8th, 9th, and 10th. Another flat 7 for Gene. He's going to shoot 230 though. He's in. All right, spare for Ryan. So right now it's all down to Ryan Burks. That's going to be enough for Matt Sanders. He's going to shoot 220 as a minimum. So Matt Sanders is at 4. Right now it's going to be around 430. He had to have that one actually to.
They're all packed in there, yeah.
Yeah, he was in there tight as well. 15 would have put 28. Gene with the spare. So right now your locks are Brandon Flora, Gene Perez, and Matt Sanders. 2 lefties and 2 righties are going to make this final 4. When Brandon Flora just cruising right along, making this look like a house pattern.
Yeah.
42-foot pattern. Always, Jeff Circle always puts out a really tough pattern for these guys, and he's just making it look
That's
easy.
8. Yeah, that's 8 in a row.
Well, you notice he didn't go to the shiny ball.
No, he didn't. There's no need at this point.
And I don't expect him to do that
I
either.
do not, yeah.
And Gene Perez shoots 239. Good scores. Look at that. 224 low on that pair. Matt shoots 235. So Matt has 448 after 2. Brandon Flora is just, man, he's lapping the field. Big shot here from Ryan Burks.
Oh, great
he
break.
gets it.
Great break. It's like you took a little speed off and the ball jumped, but boy, you got the 4 and the 6.
He's got to have the next 3 strikes to advance. Basically, it's down to Jimmy Cook and Ryan Burks for the final spot. 3 have been locked in. So far, we got Brandon Flora, Matt Sanders, and Gene Perez. Gene Perez now back-to-back finals match appearance for him in the Indiana Scratch Classic. Finished second last year.
Oh, wow.
Looking to stake his claim. Front 9 now for Brandon Flora. He's just making this look like a house pattern. All right, now it's back to Ryan Burks here on lane 8. He's got to have the next 3, or 9th and the first 2 in the 10th to advance. And think about it. I mean, that would put him in the 260s. 268 if he strikes out. That would put him at 449. Jimmy Cook in at 438. Oh, and he gets it. So let's take a quick look at here. So 66 is 436. If Ryan Burke shoots 257, that would put him at 438. So actually, he just needs the first
strike,
one
right?
in the 10th, and then a spare, 9 spare.
Right. Yep.
So strike 9 spare to advance.
Yep.
We could have a tie.
A lot of great work going on here in the second game.
Yeah, it really scores really, again, Mike, went up. Front 10, nope. Through the face, just leaves the 6-10 for Brandon Flora. Wow, he's going to
another 500.
He's going to shoot 530. I had a 440 to 460 look out there, but I didn't have 530. That's just that's another
he's making
level.
it look easy. Oh, great shot.
2-0-2-0 for Brandon Stocksdale. Not going to be enough, but
Yeah, you just made a couple bad shots there in the middle of that strings.
he'd love to have the 7th frame back, I'm sure. But even if a strike there, he still wouldn't have had enough. He was going to have to shoot 240 or upper 230s at least.
Yeah, there's some guys that figured it out here this last game.
Boy, now if you're Ryan Burks, now you just got to slow everything down mentally, right?
Well, I mean, you got to be careful. I mean, not to think too much here. He knows what he's doing. He's doing it right so far. So I think he just needs to keep his speed up. Not outthink yourself and just hit your target.
Well, Brandon went to the pearl ball, the shiny ball in the fill, and put 10 back. Yeah.
Now that might just confuse you more than it helps you there.
Sometimes I think that can hurt you when you.
Head, yeah.
Absolutely. Is this shot better or what? But here's Ryan Burks. First ball in the 10th. Needs a strike.
Come on, kid.
Oh, he gets
great
it.
break.
Wow, there's some moxie right there.
Yeah, that was a great shot.
Okay, well, let's put this together here. If he goes 9 spare, that's 257. That would put him at 438. 8 spare would put him at 256. So he could, 7 spare would tie. Anything better than a 7 spare, Ryan Burke advances to the finals.
He's the last one. Here.
Everybody's watching.
That's direct. Oh, what a beauty that was.
Wow. The one
Great
open
shot.
cost Jimmy in that game. He only misses 1 time in the entire game, Mike, and he opens in the 8th, and it cost him a spot.
Well, what you like about Ryan's finish, I mean, obviously the striking, but, you know, he gets set and goes. I mean, there's not a lot of hesitation there. He knows what his plan is, and he's doing it.
Well, there's your final 4 bowlers. It's going to be Brandon Flora, Matt Sanders, Gene Perez, and Ryan Burks.
Comes from 6th. Leapfrogs.
Shoots 181 his first game, and he strikes in the 7th, or the 8th, 9th, and 10th and 11th, and maybe now here in the 12th to shoot 268 finish for a 449 total. He'll advance. That's our final 4, folks. We'll be back for the final match here at the 2018 Indiana Scratch Classic, brought to you by Motive Bowling, Pinheads, Big 4 Socks, and Mike Alby's Arrowhead Bowl. Join us here. We'll take probably a 10-minute, 15-minute break. We'll get the TV pair ready, and we'll be back for the final match here at the Indiana Scratch Classic on Savage Bowling TV.